Welcome back. A little while ago I had made a video about Hounds that I had since deleted because I had some bad information in there just because I was frustrated with testing and stuff like that. So I'm remaking a video talking about how Hounds are good, not bad, not super like map dependent or anything like that either. They're actually very, very good in like a lot of scenarios, and that's mainly because Hounds come with multiple precepts. We're only going to talk about one of them because only one of them is really good, which is the Synergized Prospectus, which is the one where it shoots a little like electric pellet that deals innate electric damage. And we're going to talk about interactions with Manifold and Mystic Bond because these creatures are absolutely insane with them. So first off, if you're lazy, which, I mean, hey, that's up to you. He'll move. I'll just unpause AI to make this easier. First off, he already did it. He already shot the little electric pellet out. As you can tell with the fact that all of these enemies have a ton of elemental afflictions on them. That is one of the best parts of Manifold Bond, is that it specifically works for Hounds in doing so. It will just allow them to quickly stack up multiple status effects because Manifold Bond guarantees that it will deal one of each status there, and because Synergized Prospectus, the one that shoots the little lightning bolt out, hits multiple times, it will layer that effect multiple times, meaning you can pretty much CC stun with electric and a whole bunch of other status effects relatively fast with literally pretty much zero cooldown because of how Manifold Mystic Bond works. I personally run Repo Audit. Vicious Bond is really interesting because enemies recently damaged by abilities will spread that effect. So this basically makes Synergized Prospectus stack with itself pretty aggressively. Mystic Bond, which obviously because he'll be spamming both Audit and Prospectus abilities, you can have a Denial on here as well. The Denial I would recommend is Reflex Denial. It's probably the best one, just as it will give you like a mobile mag bubble that reflects damage. Evasive is really good, but it's not super like solid. It mainly just removes them from the situation and then places the field. But Repo Audit pretty much covers this because it will just spam a 30-meter radial disarm. It doesn't do the radiation proc, which is why you can just set it up with Manifold Bond instead. So with that, pretty much obviously Animal Instinct, both synth mods are super good here. Guardian, Vacuum, just for general use. Guardian here because it will spam shields on you, and because it's going to be inflicting a ton of status effects, Manifold Bond will constantly keep its cooldown up. Synergized Prospectus is the best mod for this, as it is a really fast spammable mod that allows it to coat multiple enemies. Focus Prospectus is only on one enemy and it knocks them away, and Aerial Prospectus is probably the worst one because not only is the blast radius pretty small, but it also knocks enemies down. So if you're trying to like efficiently CC, this is going to be very counterintuitive. It's probably the weakest out of both mods that I don't use. Synergized is just so good as it will literally seek out 30 meters, inflicting a guaranteed proc of electric damage in a 10-meter radius, and then it ricochets up to 7 times within the 30 meters. Typically, this also does go through walls, so you are hitting a ton of enemies extremely fast. For the weapon, I just run Akaten because it's the slash puncture. We're going to throw on Fever Strike, Northwind for our viral, Molten Impact just for the heat, Focused Radon, as that's how we get the radiation without removing our heat. So this will have 6 different elemental procs. And if you use Condition Overload, pretty much if it hits the one Synergized Prospectus, it will bounce, and it pretty much just starts killing everything. So this is really good for clearing out low-level content as well. Prime Pressure Point only because it has a slash proc, and if you want the slash proc to deal slightly more damage, maybe that'll push the threshold on the kill or not. That's not really that big of a deal. Hounds are just insane. It took me like a lot of testing to really like... Ooh, this is not the build I think I'm on. I am not smart. I have my mouse on different settings. Yeah, he just inflicts a ton of debuffs. If you use Vicious Bond, it will strip armor automatically. Melee for Hounds is already super unreliant, so hopefully this is something that when Jade comes out, the new update, it'll make him a lot better at it. If you use the bubble denial, it will keep them up a lot more, as they won't be taking as much damage just because of the shield. You can obviously also use the displacement field, just so 25% chance of getting hit instead of 100, that kind of thing. These things aren't really super smart with like placement, so if you're moving a lot, it'll just keep running and teleporting with you. Basically, the only reason we're going to have it here is because Synergized Prospectus just, it does so much more. A lot of people, when I made my Nautilus video, was talking about Nautilus. Do I have them equipped anywhere? Nautilus with Hellstrom, which is pretty decent. Let me spawn some enemies here so we can do a quick thing where it'll inflict like a decent amount of status effects, but overall it doesn't have anything really good to show for itself. The best thing about Nautilus, though, is the fact that it has auto CC, so if you're not using things like Vazarin and such, that's where it comes in handy. However, because of the insane amount of range on Synergized Prospectus and the fact that you can layer 7 relatively easy, this guy's having a time, 7 relatively easy buffs, whether it be viral, which again it bounces up to like 7 times, and it's afflicts in an area around it. This is probably the easiest way to not use like Epitaph or anything like that and just have your pet do all that work for you. It's super fast, super easy. The only downside is you have to get a Hound. That's the only real downside. But other than that, just enjoy the absolutely insane amount of status inflictions on an enemy. So, the armor thing, if you're not feeling like Vicious Bond is helping you, which debatably it should be because of the way the status spreading works with recently used abilities on, it should work. But if it's not, just switch it off for the denial presets, because that will help you a lot more than really anything else. Do not use diversified denial, though, because you will lock your Hound out for 30 seconds, which does not help because it loses repo audit, it loses prospectus, so do not use that. Pretty much reflex denial or evasive denial. If you feel like your Hound is griefing you, do not use reflex denial. It will grief you even harder than stealing a Noli, or not a Noli, like a Frost Eximus bubble, and then having you explode yourself on it, which has happened uncountable amounts of times. So, yeah. Hounds are good. Hounds are super good, super efficient. Pretty much have become my go-to with the fact that Hellstrom isn't as strong as I thought it was. I probably have to have a ribbon for it, but these guys, super survivable too. Like, as long as you're moving and as long as you let them use their abilities and let them disarm like different enemy types, perfectly fine. Such a good Steel Path companion now that they added these mods with the pet rework. Makes them probably way better than they were and should be.